We had the opportunity to research the options available for personal legal liability protection for those who carry a firearm in the United States in 2022. Our goal in this series of videos is to offer in a non-biased format the results of that research. Here we go. All right, we've been taking a look at the results of our research on personal legal liability when carrying a firearm in the United States in 2022, or concealed carry insurance. And we did this research at the beginning of 2022. And one of the options that we had for a while, for a window, was provided by the NRA, and it was called NRA Carry Guard. Now, it only lasted from 2017 to 2019. In this video, we're going to take a look at it just for the sake of comparison. Of course, it is no longer available, and I'm not familiar with what's going on with it. At the time that it existed, I was using a different service that had existed long before it came around, and I was satisfied with that, so I never really paid too much attention to it. I guess that's about as zoomed in as I can get. So I never paid too much attention to it. However, like I say, we did find information about it as we were doing the research. So we're going to do a quick one here and just talk about how it compared to some of the others, and possibly this can be kind of a useful tool or exercise for comparing some of the others. Or we're going to kind of consider this an overall, an attempt at an overall review. So starting off, if you take a look at like when NRA Carry Guard hits the scene and as a result of what, there's definitely some controversy there with USCCA. I'm sure Second Call Defense and Firearms Legal Protection coming onto the scene and establishing that there's room for lots of players in this area influenced it. You know, NRA's decisions at the time, probably based on a lot of things that might be an interesting conversation in itself. So it comes to the scene in 2017. The internet's well established. I mean, there's just a few years ago, really, and it only lasts for 2 years. So that's a pretty big splash, a pretty big organization to be doing a pretty big thing on the national stage, and it only lasts for 2 years. It's an insurance policy. It's NRA, so they can't just become lawyers or become something. Well, I guess they could have done the membership type of system, but they went with an insurance policy. They had 4 tiers. I didn't do the research to look them up because it really doesn't matter, I don't think, too much, but you can find all that by looking back at their old websites and stuff. But it ranged from $155 to $360 a year, which puts it kind of right in the middle. It's kind of where you'd expect NRA to be. Not quite the cheapest, but really close to it. And then their most expensive plan was nowhere near. It was like the medium size for some of the other options. So, you know, they placed themselves, because of their scale, in a really advantageous spot on the price point end of it, on that spectrum. They didn't have any setup fee, and you could pay for it either monthly or yearly, and you got a discount when you did it yearly. I'm sure it brought in some revenue for NRA. I'm not sure if they ever talked about it or if anyone's ever discovered that information or tried to figure it out, but that might be another interesting way to look at this. How much money do these projects bring in? So at the time, it covered all 50 states. Now, you know, then these things change, and it's been gone for 2 or 3 years now, 4 years now. So depending on when you're listening to this, you know, a while ago. And right when we did this research in the beginning of 2022, 3 states, New York, New Jersey, and Washington State, are really ornery, like really not interested in working with each of the states. So for NRAs to have been in all 50 states, it's not that they were bad or anything. They just did it at a window when it was probably possible to be in all 50 states. Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network had been in all 50 states up until just recently, and I'm sure some of these others were in all but 48 states up until some changes. So the fact that NRA was in all 50 states is, I think, more of a facet of the time window that they operated in, more than they had some advantage over the others. But if I'm wrong about that, let me know. I'm not saying I'm just guessing there. I'm just assuming there. As far as nationwide travel, they never brought it up. It must not have been an issue. They didn't have it in their marketing. Now, here's the thing about the NRA card. It was different and unique from all the others in the respects that it did not pay you. It didn't pay you up front. It paid you afterwards. It reimbursed you. So it didn't really pay you as much as reimburse you. And you would get 20% up front and the rest later if you were found innocent. And I don't think they were the only one to do that, but now they're the only ones that were on the record as doing that. I think some of the other options and services out there were set up that way and saw how it's not appealing and have changed their systems, I think. But let me know in the comments what you think. They let you choose your attorney. They offered between $50,000 and $250,000 worth of criminal attorney's fees, and then on the civil side there was no number there, so I'm guessing it might have been, similar. But they did offer civil damage. It was insurance, so the civil damage, in case you got sued, they would protect you from $250,000, from $250,000 to $1.5 million, which would have been on the high end. Some of them don't offer any protection. And right now, the plans that do offer protection max out at $1 million. So 1.5 would have been a cheaper rate, a cheaper cost, and a higher payout. However, it's not like you're getting that money. So I don't know, imagine it's just a mental thing, having a larger number here. Makes it seem like you're getting something more for your money. You're covered more, but it's all for other people's attorneys and damages. Anyhow, then we get to bail bonds. They did offer bonds. They did offer expert witnesses. Spouses were included, and I think at the time, just from doing the research, it seems like that would have been a real advantage, or I've got the hiccups, a selling point. I don't know about gun or extreme risk protection orders. I don't think the antis weren't emphasizing red flag laws back then, so they never really put it in their marketing. They didn't talk about dependents from what I saw. They did offer psychological counseling, and this was, again, in the era from 2017 to 2019, so that's obviously been on the horizon, or been on the, on the one of the items in the list here for a while. They offer $250 a day, which is sort of on the low end, but still some coverages or some services don't offer that coverage at all. And it was unique in that it was only firearms, and I don't know if that changed. I know that some of the other organizations or some of the other services were similar, that they offered coverage only for firearms, but they have changed. I don't know if NRA would have changed if they kept around, or if they would have, stuck to their guns, so to speak, literally there. But that's is again because we're only looking at them in a snapshot, a window in time. They had only covered firearms, which is interesting. Especially, this wasn't the beginning of it all. If they would have been around at the beginning of all this and came up with that idea, maybe I can understand it. But coming up with that idea that it's firearms only, when they know good and well in 2017, lots of things might be necessary to be used for defense. Anyway, that was interesting. Nothing about firearms replacement or any of these other factors, just because they didn't address them in their marketing, so we have no way of knowing, and they don't exist anymore. As far as extras, it's the NRA. So certified firearms instructors, they didn't emphasize it a lot. Certainly not like some of the other organizations or services out there that, training is foundational or, a big part of their whole coverage or their service. But the NRA does offer, the most elaborate firearms instruction out there. So, they, as being a member of NRA, you have access to that infrastructure and network. It's amazing. They do have 24-hour hotlines, or they did have 24-hour hotlines. And, of course, the additional benefit of being in the NRA coverage is that you were an NRA member. I wasn't aware of anyone who was supporting them. I don't think they had an affiliate program, but they probably did. And they were based out of Missouri. They had, I guess BBB rating for the NRA was A plus, although they were not accredited. So the NRA didn't feel like paying the BBB. I'm not going to hold that against them. They had 4 complaints in 3 years. Of course, that would have been a while ago. And I think that's in a rundown, or in a nutshell, a rundown of the NRA, and hopefully a way to kind of compare some of the other ones without necessarily pitting them against each other, so to speak. So this might be, I don't know if I'll come up with another topic here for the last video, but this might be the last video in this series. I record these in a batch, so I'm recording all of these at one time, months and months and months ago, whenever you're listening to this live or for the first time. So let us know in the comments if it's worth this kind of effort. Our Patreons make it possible, so I'll take a moment again to thank the 150 or so people. You could be one of them. Head over to Patreon, check us out. We create projects like this. We do lots of other stuff as well. And our Patreons make it possible for us to spend time on this. They make it possible for us to afford the software that we use to do this stuff, and then to take the time to present it and to archive it on the websites. They pay for the websites too. So that's something that we do so that we don't have to sell you any of these specifically, or try to push one or the other. The idea here is just, again, to offer some insight into what it's like to be a firearms owner in 2022, and this particular kind of confusing aspect to it. These things will change, so once we've got locked down the different factors, the different characteristics, the different ways to picture this stuff, as it changes, now it's just a matter of updating the different slots in the data here. So thanks to our Patreons for making it possible for us to assemble all this. In the future, look forward to us to update this periodically. And I don't know if we'll take the time to present it like this. This actually took quite a while to present it all. But we might do summaries or updates in the future to talk about what has updated or changed. But again, we're looking for feedback on this. So we'll do some live conversations along the way. Join us with those. And until next time. Oh, I guess I should also mention we're going to be posting this on multiple sources, multiple platforms out there, different social media sites and websites and things. So wherever you happen to find this, leave us a comment. We read them all, and we do appreciate it. It lets us do more focused stuff in the future and get better as we go along. Thanks again. I'd like to say a big thank you to those who subscribe to our Patreon channel. You keep our websites online and all this information available for free for everyone. Wherever you find the video, over on gunstreamer.com or on guntube.org. Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching gunwebsites.com.